Hey everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we are going to be unboxing and we're going to be taking a look at the iPhone 13 Pro. So we're going to be kind of going over my first impressions of this phone, all the new features and stuff, as well as the unboxing experience, what everything is in the box, all that stuff. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, here we go. iPhone 13 Pro. Wow, that feels weird saying that. Here we go. So the box, honestly, when I first saw this box, it looked pretty much identical to my 12 Pro. Like, the color, when you actually look at it in person, the box, this color is a lot lighter. Maybe it's just the lighting here and what it shows on camera, but they look pretty similar. Now it's like, okay, what's the difference? Because this is my 12 Pro, this is a 13 Pro. So, okay, well, what's the difference, You both got 3 cameras. Well, when I was looking at the box, the camera notch looks to be significantly bigger, like way bigger than on the 11 Pro, 12 Pro, any of the previous generations. So that's cool. Same size though. And yeah, new box though. So this is the new box, but I was taking a look. I haven't even looked at my 12 box in about a year since that came out. The box for the 12 just has the screen. The box for the 11 Pro actually has the back of it too. So we're going back to the back to show off the back of the phone. So kind of interesting there. Also, another way that you can kind of differentiate these phones is by the box color. So, yep, here we go. iPhone 13 Pro. This is the Sierra Blue version. iPhone, Apple logo, iPhone, Apple logo. So here we go. iPhone 13 Pro includes iPhone 13 Pro and USB-C to Lightning cable, power adapter, and headphones sold separately. Has 5G capability, just like the 12 Pro. And has 2 of these tabs that you pull to remove. Alright, now here we go. iPhone 13 Pro. There it is. Wow. Oh, man. That camera. Whoa. That is way bigger. Okay. Let me slide my 12 Pro back over here. And you might not be able to tell at first on video, but this camera notch is a lot bigger. Like, holy crap, man. Like, I tried showing you guys kind of before of a comparison. But yeah, it's a good amount bigger. So all the sensors, everything is bigger. It looks like they're even taller as well than on, say, the 12 Pro. But as for the color, though, it definitely is a lot lighter. But depending on the lighting and how the light hits it, they can pretty much look like really similar. So this one is obviously a lot darker. This one's lighter. But like I said, you catch this one with the right lighting. Like, look at that. They look almost identical right there with the lighting. The only other thing would probably be like the camera notch. Like if you look at it at that angle, that's definitely a lot darker than if you look at it at the same angle on the new one. So interesting. So that's comparison with the old phone. Now let's fully take a look at the new phone. Alright, button layouts and stuff are all still the same. You just have a protective sleeve on there. Yep, there we go. There's a button layout. You got your silence, volume up and down, power button. That is, I believe that's the 5G antenna. And then over here is where we have our SIM card. So cool. Alright. Neat. Awesome. Alright, well. And the rest of the box, you get a little tiny USB-C to Lightning. You get like a little bit of paperwork with a sticker as well in it. So, it's pretty good. Apple has been doing a great job in the past couple of years of actually like bringing the box sizes down, trying to pretty much eliminate as much waste as possible. That's where the whole kind of controversy of the power brick has gone. It's like, oh, they don't include a power brick anymore. They still include the cable. They say they don't include the power brick because it's like everybody's already got a power brick, So it's like, why do we keep giving them away every time we get out a new iPhone? We can save and help out the environment a lot by just not doing it. And they still sell them, so it's like if you, for some reason, don't have a charger, you can still go buy one. But it was a lot worse back, last year, year before, when they didn't actually include a charger, but they included USB-C, so most people had those little 5-watt chargers. So that's kind of started to go away now. More people are adopting USB-C chargers, that new 20-watt charger, as well as that old 18-watt charger. Those ones are both USB-C, so they're just kind of moving more towards this one. So a couple more years, and I think Apple will go all out, and they'll just remove the Lightning jack and just like all wired connections to the iPhone eventually anyways. So, all right, here we go. Enough with that. let's go ahead and take a look at the phone. So we slide this up, boom, that comes off. And then we can turn it on. There it is, Apple. There we go. Hello. Swipe up to open. Oh man. Okay. So, very first impressions. Just scrolling, the first thing that you notice is the 120 hertz display. So we're going from 60 on 12 Pro and all the other phones. Literally every iPhone had 60. But now we're going up to 120 on the Pro phones, but it is a variable refresh rate, so it depends what you're doing. So like if you're scrolling, it goes like, it can go all the way up to like 120, but if you're just static, it'll go down to as little as like 10 hertz, which is actually pretty good because then it saves battery life and stuff too. So really cool, and it just makes all the transitions, everything is just so smooth on it, and it just looks so good. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up, and then we're gonna take a look at it after that. All right. So I have now used the iPhone 13 Pro for a few hours. I set it up, got everything transferred from my other phone, and used it for a couple hours. And let me tell you, honestly, the first thing that really stood out was the 120 hertz display. This display is so smooth. Like anything that you're doing on here is just so smooth and just feels so good. That's immediately the very first thing that jumped out to me with it. And honestly, like I even went back to my 12 Pro just for a little bit, just kind of a comparison. Another thing that kind of stood out was this phone weighs a little bit more, it's a little bit heavier, but in comparison to like the 12 Pro or even the 11 Pro, it's not too bad. It's not like really that noticeable, but it is a little bit heavier. But in comparison to say like the 12 Pro, when I went back and I tried out that phone, I mean, immediately the very first thing was just how responsive this display is. As you compare it to like the 12 Pro just does 60 hertz, whereas this one goes all the way up to 120, and it just makes it for such a much better experience. And honestly, like I almost cannot go back now because it's that much of a difference. It just feels so smooth and so good, whereas you go back to 60 and it just feels so slow and kind of sluggish. You're like, what is this? Feels kind of jarring, but really cool though. Battery life has actually been really, really good. And I still have yet to even charge it once. And I'm only at 27% battery. I mean, what have I used? I've used the screen on for about 2.5 hours, screen off for 1 hour and 16 minutes. So, I mean, it's not too bad. We'll, finally get like a full review on this thing. I'll post that a little bit later after I get some more hands-on with it. Go through a couple of cycles of, depleting the battery, charging it all back up again. We can take a look at battery and kind of what it's like. Then also another thing I'm kind of curious to check out is 5G on this thing, because I mean that was one of the first things that stood out to me with my 12 Pro was how 5G just killed your battery life, how I got worse battery life on my 12 Pro than my 11 Pro. So I have heard from some people that this 13 Pro kind of goes back to like 11 Pro battery life, where you actually get decent battery life now. Even using 5G, you actually get pretty good battery life again. And so I'm excited to see that, how battery life stacks up. And then another thing that we have here that's really new with this year is the camera. So with the camera, of course, with the Pro phones, you have 3 different lenses. So you got your 3 modes here. And the first thing that stood out was your zoomed in one. This one goes up to 3 times optical zoom, which the previous ones only went up to 2 times. So that's really awesome. Just makes it a little bit better when trying to take like far away pictures or videos and stuff like that. Really cool. And of course, same thing applies for like videos. We also have this new cinematic mode as well, which this one, they talked about this in their keynote, where it blurs specific portions of a video and kind of adapt between whatever you want in focus in the frame. So interesting there. We're gonna have to try that out, give a couple videos and stuff about that. This one is limited to like 1080p. I want to say like 30 FPS. But then the other thing too is what about ProRes? So you have like ProRes for videos, but I'm not seeing a way to enable that. Now I have heard, I believe like ProRes is actually not on the phones right now, that it's still on its way. But it's kind of interesting though. It will be interesting to try out. That is actually the reason why this phone that I bought is the 256 gigabyte version, is that ProRes will not work at its like pretty much full capacity, unless you get 256 gigabytes or higher. If you just get the 128 one, you cannot record it, at its full potential. But like I said, camera is pretty good. We're gonna have to actually like take it out, take some pictures with it, really kind of get a good hands-on look at it. That'll be coming in like a full review, but just quick first impressions. Honestly, not bad. I do like the increased zoom. That's really nice. So far, battery life has been pretty good. 120 hertz display is fantastic. And yeah, I mean, really awesome phone. Pretty solid all around. Now, as for, should I have upgraded from my 12 Pro? Maybe not. I don't know. Is that much of a difference to really jump from like a 12 Pro to a 13 Pro? Maybe. That's something that we're going to have to answer in a full review, is to really kind of get into the nitty gritty about these phones and really determine, is upgrading really necessary if you're going from, say, last year's phone, or maybe even the like 11 Pro, going from something like that, even just 2 years, is it really worth the upgrade? We're really going to have to dive into that and see. But I mean, first impressions though, I feel like if you're still on like an iPhone 7 or maybe even like an iPhone 8, maybe even the 10, I would definitely recommend upgrading to this one. I mean, you get 5G, that's a big one. Oh, also another thing I've totally forgot about is that the notch up there is actually smaller again. Totally forgot about that. See, like, that's my whole thing with the notch, is I don't really care about the notch. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't care if it's smaller or bigger or whatever. I pretty much just tune it out. It's just one of those things that's there that I just don't care about. So it is smaller, but people have actually pointed out how there is still no battery like indicator up there. There's no percentage up there for your battery. Whereas we used to have that back several years ago with several older generation phones. You don't have that. And not even with this extra screen real estate, by having the notch a lot smaller, it doesn't show up there. And you don't even get the option to like add it on there. So it is very interesting. Also, another interesting thing too is how the earpiece is now all the way up there at the top. That is really cool. And it is interesting that they redesigned the whole notch. So potentially, next year is when we're finally going to get the notch removed. We'll see though. But yeah, all in all, notch smaller is kind of whatever. To me, doesn't really make a difference. I couldn't really care less if the notch is smaller or even if it was bigger. Doesn't matter to me. But that's it. That is the iPhone 13 Pro. That is our unboxing for it. Very first impressions. Honestly, phone is really good. I mean, yeah, 120 hertz display, dude, that is going to be absolutely fantastic. And then, like I said, we're going to have to put the camera through its paces, as well as battery life. But overall, really solid upgrade, really good phone. And yeah, so stay tuned on my channel for the full review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.